Hi there, Ugochukwu here. Thank you for joining me. I'd like to talk about decision making and problem solving. You see, in the book Exercising Clear Thinking, I remarked that for you to be able to survive in the world, to be successful, to successfully conduct your affairs in the world and arrive at great ends, you need only one thing, and that is intelligence. As a matter of fact, you need sufficient intelligence because every problem that you're going to meet, every problem that you're going to be faced with is a hodgepodge of several characteristics, is a hodgepodge of several factors coming together. And so your ability to really understand the ramifications and the diverse nature and the nuances that come together to form that problem gives you a better edge in solving that problem. And so what you need, your ability to bring all of these things together, you need an intelligence that is sufficient enough to be able to make sense of the problem and proffer a veritable solution. When I say this, people say it's not just intelligence, but if you understand that intelligence is your ability to interpret the world, to take in information, interpret the world accurately, and to do it fast enough to ensure your survival, then you understand the full ramifications of this and the importance of placing intelligence at the top ladder of all things. But the true test of a sufficiently intelligent mind is the ability to hold several opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and to be able to effectively deploy those ideas in solving a particular problem. So why? So what's the reason for this? The world we live in, it's characterized with a lot of things. If you look at the world, you will find out that it has two characteristics. On the one hand, the world is regular in the sense that there is some level of there is an appreciable level of order in the world. You see the rising of the sun, and it's certain. You see the cells in your body. Your body needs some level of amount of water for you to be able to survive, for you to function effectively. There's a certain amount of oxygen that is needed in your body for you to function effectively, and the cells in your body need to be a certain number for them to function effectively. If they become too much, they become cancerous. If they become too little, then you also suffer. So you now understand the role of order in the world, and you now come to the understanding that, of course, there is some level of order in the world. But at the same time, if you go to quantum physics, if you go to the level of subatomic particles, you will understand that there is an appreciable level of chaos in the world. The world is not just orderly. And this is very much explained or exemplified by the Heisenberg principle, which shows us that the particles in the world, there is randomness in the subatomic level of reality. So, and you also look at the different aspects of nature all around you. Things happen by chance, and you encounter some things, and you call it the art of God. So these are examples that the world is composed of different things at the same time. So how are you able to make sense of all of these things? How are you able to bring all of these ideas together? In solving a problem, you will require a level of intellectual creativity, some level of what I call intellectual creativity, to be able to put all of these ideas together and then to hold them together in your mind and be able to deploy them in problem solving. You equally see the level of complexity in the world by looking at the human race. There are almost 4 races that makes up the human species. You look at, and these people and these races are composed of different ideologies. They hold different nationalist creeds. They hold different ethical views about life, about moral views about life, and all of these things come together when you are interacting with them. If you're interfacing with people in the form of negotiation, in the form of trying to come to a common ground in order to get a project done, you have to get across their beliefs, you have to get across their ideologies, you have to get across all of those things to be able to make sense of it. And most times we find that what these people hold there in form of beliefs or ideologies do not actually make sense to us. We see them as apparent nonsense. So how do you get across all of this and be able to come to a conclusion that does not violate your rights, your interests, and your values, and as well as the rights and interests of the other party? The nature of problems in themselves is such that they are very complex. They are a hodgepodge of different characteristics, different issues coming together to form one problem. So take, for example, physical problems like climate change. They are made up of different factors coming together. Human activity on the planet Earth, and even the cycle of the Earth, how the Earth is changing and how it is metamorphosing in different ways. So you find out that all of these factors coming together and they bring to us the problem of climate change. And in solving that problem, we are also required to bring in different ideas together, to consider different factors for us to be able to bring up a sufficient solution to that problem. If you look at our individual needs, socioeconomic problems like poverty, if you look at all of this, you find out that they are in themselves very complex. So how do we go about this? To be able to make sense of the complexity of human race, or the beliefs and ideologies of others, it requires what I call intellectual creativity. Your ability to see the other person's views and to understand their point of view and to be able to make sense of it. Not only making sense of it, of course, making sense of something doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with it. It's just that you understand that point of view. And you equally understand yours, and you're able to hold the two ideas together, and even more to be and effectively deploy them, looking at their different replications, looking at the patterns in all of these ideas. You are able to effectively deploy them to solve a problem, to negotiate a deal, or to come to a favorable conclusion that benefits both parties. It requires intellectual creativity to do this. And so the reason why we fall into problems, the reason why we are unable to get to this end, to achieve this, is because we are usually thinking in either or terms. Either it is this or that. And so when you're dealing with people, you say, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, and you are a Republican. You see, I am a socialist, and you are a capitalist. I am a globalist, and you're a nationalist. So all of these ideas, when you do that, you block yourself off. You block your mind off from creating, from seeing the patterns in things and thinking in a very creative way in order to come to the conclusion that you want, that is required to be able to close off that deal, or to create a relationship, or to solve a problem. And for creators, you are an engineer, you are an entrepreneur. You're looking at a problem that you want to solve in the world. How do you go about that? You know, when we are in school, we are taught that is either you are an art student or a science student. But growing up and you start understanding how the world works, when you start looking at closely how the world works, you understand that there is no disparity, there is no discrimination between art and science. The world is made up of these different things coming together. So your ability to think in the terms of art and science, bringing all of them together, your ability to develop what is called systems thinking in your problem solving gives you a better edge in solving that problem. It gives you the ability to come closer, to solving that problem, to seeing the patterns and the cues and be able to pick all of those things and combine them in a creative way to deliver a sufficient solution to that need or to that problem. And so when you start thinking in either or terms, it prevents you from seeing these patterns. It blocks off your mind from being able to see the appreciable diversity in nature and the creativity in nature, to be able to deploy that creativity, to harness that creativity within you and then effectively deploy it in solving that problem. So I encourage you to learn to think in the terms of and both. When you are confronted and when you are presented with a problem, think in terms of and both. When you are confronted as an entrepreneur or an economist about the problem of climate change, do not think of it as either the economy or the planet. Do not think of it as either it is profit or loss. No, think of it how would I be able to achieve economic growth at the same time saving the planet? How will I be able to do all of these things, bring them together, and come to a sufficient solution for the problem? In your personal life, we usually are faced with the problem of our career or our family. And so you see people now going along that lines. You see statistics coming out and saying women that are career driven have the tendency of lagging behind in their family or personal life. But that's not supposed to be true. That's not supposed to be the case. If your ability to hold these ideas together in your mind and to effectively solve them, to effectively deploy them in solving the problem, gives you a better edge. That's what makes you a sufficiently intelligent person. So it doesn't have to be either your career or your family or your relationships. You can do both. Say yes to the both of them. That is the only way that you'll be able to confront the complexity in the world and solve these problems. So the world is not a straight line of black and white. Let's stop thinking about all of this. And this is an exercise in truth telling. It gives you a better edge. Your ability to come to this realization and tell yourself this truth, that this is actually how the world works. It is not either this or that. I should be able to combine all of these ideas, hold them in my mind, because they can cause cognitive dissonance for you. And the reason for this is because your brain has conditioned your mind to seek out a regularity in nature, to seek out order in nature. Your mind is always looking out to be able to predict reality, to predict events. So you want to wake up in the morning and still do the same things that you're doing, and still follow the same routes that you're following to get to your work. You want to wake up in the morning and see your file spaces and it still looks the same. That is the nature of our mind. So our mind wants it to be predictable. It wants life to be predictable so that you'll be able to make sense of it quickly and survive and be safe. And that makes sense because that is what your brain has evolved to do. But the reality is that the world is complex. The reality is that the world is composed with different factors coming together. And so is the problems that you meet every day in your relationship, in your business, in your life, in negotiating with others, in interfacing with others. The reality is that the world isn't this way. So your ability to hold these opposing ideas in your mind and effectively use them to create something, that is intellectual creativity, and you need that skill. It is a skill that you need. You need it to be able to survive and thrive in the world. So I encourage you, as you deploy as you deploy these skills, as you try to learn the skills, try as much as possible to think of it as I don't need to think of either or when I'm confronted with a problem. I need to think of and both. As an organizational leader, as an entrepreneur, as a policy maker, you need to have audacious goals and also recognize that you have to engage in evolutionary progress. You need to understand, you need to be philosophical, you need to be ideological, but at the same time, you need to think practically. You need to be pragmatic in your approach. So being able to do this gives you an edge in life, and it's an exercise in clear thinking. Thank you so much for joining me today. More tips coming towards you in subsequent days.